comes after what we saw in Europe over the weekend. Saw some of those pictures there a minute ago with all the European leaders, and they are pledging to back Ukraine at all cost. And here to talk about whether they can do that, Philip Voigt is the former ambassador to Iraq and Turkey, special envoy to the Global Coalition to Defeat ISIS, James Jeffrey. Ambassador Jeffrey, welcome back. So that was kind of the story of the weekend, that Zelenskyy, after being here, goes there, talks, Europe says, well, we're going to do our best. And now it's kind of interesting to put into the context what we just heard from the president, where he still seems open to something. Where do you think this is all going?
I think it's going to go to the deal. The president made a strategic shift in contrast to much of his rhetoric during the campaign, to basically back Ukraine, continuing the weapons deliveries, but pushing for a ceasefire. And he has his own unique way of doing this, to some degree buttering up Putin, because we, the Ukrainians and the West, are the demandeurs, as Putin has at least a slight advantage. That's the way it works in negotiations. What happened Friday was that Zelenskyy, for whatever reason, raised objections to what the president and Vice President Vance thought was a done deal. They were going to sign the first part of it, the minerals, but open the door to the larger ceasefire negotiations on that day. And then Zelenskyy was raising issues that are non-starters with President Trump. And frankly, they're non-starters with the Russians. So that led to the irritation. Now people are trying to work this out. The European pledge to support Zelenskyy is helpful, but Zelenskyy knows, or should know, the Europeans alone cannot either deliver enough weapons and other financial support, nor negotiate with Russia.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let me play, I think we have a clip from a few minutes ago with President Trump when he was at the White House. Kelly mentioned, two to tango and this kind of thing. The way he's phrasing things now. Let's listen to this, and then you tell me what's next. You think there's going to be a deal. Here's what he said.
What do you need to see from President Zelenskyy to restart these negotiations?
Well, I just think he should be more appreciative, because this country has stuck with them through thick and thin. We've given them much more than Europe, and Europe should have given more than us, because, as you know, that's right there.
So it's not like he's giving in or anything like that, but the idea that he's not closing it down, I guess, is the headline. So next steps here. What do you think?
Well, as the president said, it takes two to tango.
Right.
He specifically said the Ukrainians have to be at the table. He specifically singled out, this is unusual for Trump, the European heads of state and government, how they're friends of his, and they have to also be at the table. Trump is trying pretty hard to move this back to where it was at the beginning of that meeting on Friday. The problem is that Zelenskyy is not really sure he wants to do a deal. He thinks there's some deus ex machina that will come up and save him from having to take a compromise solution. Look, I've been involved in this since the Vietnam ceasefire in 1972 on, in one or another capacity. We always wind up negotiating over the head of our patron, the country that we're supporting, who is the victim of aggression. But in the end, they and we have to make compromises with the other side. We did it in Vietnam. We did it in Kuwait in 1991. We did it, push the Israelis on all kinds of occasions in Lebanon, in Gaza and such.
Right.
That's the way it goes.
So even if that's the way it goes, though, I don't know if we've ever done it quite this way in terms of, the president of the United States, as open as he's been seemingly to, really give it to Ukraine and almost side openly or quite frankly, at times parrot the talking points of Vladimir Putin. I don't know if we've done it that way. I'm just wondering if there's any consequence to that. You think it's the same old at the end of the day?
It's Trump's, well, as I said, behind the scenes, we threatened to stop all military support to Syngman Rhee in Korea in 1953 if he didn't sign up to the peace we negotiated. Same thing with President Tu of Vietnam in 1972, and I could go on and on. So we take these positions. Trump believes, and he laid that out in the meeting, that he's not going to simultaneously sign UN resolutions that are condemning Putin as an aggressor and then be expected to negotiate with Putin for some kind of settlement. That's Trump's way of doing things. Remember how he reached out to Kim Jong-un, the dictator of North Korea, gave him all kinds of benefits in order to get to a deal. the North Koreans wouldn't negotiate and Trump walked away. I think it'll be the same with Russia, at least I hope so.
Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.